breaking news about Sir Alex Ferguson. I don't even want to say being sacked by Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Relieved of his ambassadorial duties is the most respectful way to say it about Sir Alex. But the big news about Sir Jim Ratcliffe basically saying that Sir Alex at the end of the season will be stepping away from his ambassadorial duties. Is that a good decision? Or is it a poor decision?
I think maybe it's been handled a little bit clumsily. But I think ultimately the decision is correct. We're told it's amicable on both sides, but you're right, it really has been led by Ineos as part of their wider cost-cutting measures, which I'm told have not been well received by a lot of long-serving staff members. But optically, if you're going to take away packed lunch on a match day for casual staff, it doesn't look great, does it, if you're still paying a former manager more than £2 million a year to effectively sit and wave in the director's box. So I think Sir Alex has made more than enough money since he stopped working in the dugout, stopped becoming a manager. And I think probably the time is right. And actually, does it help the current incumbent of that dugout that you've got Sir Alex, the greatest manager arguably in the club's history, sat behind, shaking his head on TV every time a goal is conceded? Maybe a little bit of distance between someone who is always going to be an iconic figure, always going to be adored by Manchester United fans, and the current United manager who's trying to write his own history. Maybe that's not a bad thing.
You know, some of the... don't even want to... Feels weird even saying some of the positive reasons why Sir Alex should step away from United. But, you know, Crook articulating well some of the reasons behind it. Could it have been handled better, Ange? Yeah,
I think it could have been handled better. You would think that there would be some kind of press release explaining it, because now this is just open for people to start picking holes in. Whereas I think if it was a lot clearer, then it wouldn't be as, you know, oh, the sacking Alex Ferguson or whatever. For me, it kind of just makes sense. The guy's in his 80s. He's been paid a lot of money. And also, the thing is, it's not like we're never going to see Sir Alex Ferguson again. I'm sure if there was something that they needed him to do, whether it was something for PR or for him to come to a certain game, he's not going to turn around and be like, nah, you're all right. You know, I think we're still going to see him if we need him. So, yeah, I don't really... I understand why people are a bit upset about it, but I don't see it as being that big of a deal. This is... you know, with all due respect, an old man who probably also will welcome the rest, I would assume. I don't think he would have taken it if he really didn't want to. So, yeah, I just think it's one of those. Could have been handled better, but I see why they've done it.
Yeah, Adam, I know you're a man of big opinions. Initial thoughts when you saw that coming?
Not got a problem with it at all. Right now, I think Manchester United fans have got bigger things to worry about. When I heard the initial sort of like wages and what he was actually earning a year, I was thinking straight away, I'm thinking that could easily go back into the football club, that go to the academy level, MUTV as we know. Ineos have cut corners there. There's not as much TV showing the under-21s and under-18 games. So can we reinvest that money back in? I think a lot of United fans will look at it and just say, Ineos are making some big calls. This will be seen as a brutal one, but like Alex has said there, like it could have been handled a bit better. Everything's a circus at United right now, but ultimately, they've made big calls about Ferguson. United fans want to see them still make the biggest call of all, which we've been talking about for weeks now. So I think this will be blown away within a couple of days with the fan base, I feel. And I think it has to be expected now with the way Ineos are running United.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was more on... It was a bit on the emotional side, if I'm honest. When I first thought of it, it didn't sit right with me. Just because, like you said, because it's Sir Alex, and we do, you know, need to step away from just the old guy. We need to look forward. I get that. We need to save costs as well. Is it not disrespectful that he hasn't got a proper farewell, or you know, there isn't a press? Yeah, exactly. There isn't a proper press release about this. I mean, I've seen some things online. You know, other journalists, Adam Crafton's gone really strong on this from The Athletic, sort of saying that some of the wording now being used from other outlets is. You know, that Sir Alex has decided to step away. Well, no, he hasn't decided to step away. He was told by Sir Jim Ratcliffe that we're not continuing with this arrangement that the Glazers put in place almost 13 years ago. So it's very different. I kind of just want Ineos to stand on that. Like, I don't want to... Sir Jim, if you've got to Sir Alex and said, listen, we're going to go in a different direction, stand on that. Don't do the PR spin. Don't say, well, he's, you know, he wants to do... Because, like Angelina said, to be fair, he said, well, you know, maybe he wants the rest. What if he doesn't? What if he's like, actually, I wanted to carry on? You're relieving me of my duties.
Well, he's got 2 million reasons for it to carry on.
Well, yeah.
And listen, an unpopular opinion, and Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager the club has ever had, in my opinion, someone who's had a massive impact on my life as a football fan. But I do wonder, could things have turned out differently if he didn't take that ambassadorial role from the Glazers? And you know, could he have then spoken out about the direction of travel the football club has been on since he stopped as manager? Will he now speak out about what's happened to his football club, the club that he built over the last 10 years or so? So I think that would be fascinating to see if now he's free from the shackles of the Glazers' payroll, if he can actually come out and give an honest opinion about the fact the club have declined so much.
Should he have got a chance to, with everything he's done, Ads, should he have got a chance to decide when he leaves this football club in any capacity that it may be?
No, we're Manchester United are a business. I still believe that he's got this role. He's been paid so much because he papered over so many cracks for the Glazers over the years. He is the only reason that we were winning trophies. It was nothing to do with the Glazer ownership. We hardly spent any money while he was the manager. And of course, this just looks like Ineos making big calls as soon as they're in, which the previous regime didn't make. That's all this is. It's just business. And while everything is bad, it's always going to look worse than what it is, and it's always going to be more of a circus than what it needs to be. It's just a sensible decision. Yes, hopefully he will get some sort of farewell. Hopefully they do like a little programme or a documentary on his time or something like that just to say thank you. I think that's all United fans want to see. They're not really bothered right now. We need to move forward. It's been 10 years since he's been the manager, and there's bigger, important things going on at the football club right now. But like Crook said then, he's in all our hearts. He basically gave us all our best years as fans. Everyone in here, we've luckily seen them years. I was talking off camera, like my son started going to Old Trafford when Ferguson finished. His first season was David Moyes. The new generation of fans don't know what Ferguson was all about. They look at us talking about it now going, what are they talking about?
Yeah, why is this that important?
It's moved forward now. The club's moved forward, sadly. I don't like to talk this way, but it's just the way that the lay of the land at the moment with United.
There's a fine line, isn't there, for any football club about respecting and celebrating your history, but also not living in the past. And I think United have spent too long living in the past.
And I feel like I've been just too emotional then with this, actually, listening to you guys. Because I do see the financial side of it. I do see we have to move forward. But do you think that most United fans will be sort of, well, yeah, we need to move on and echo what the guys are saying?
Yeah, I think so. I understand having like an initial emotional reaction. It makes sense. But I think it's just one of those things. It's almost like when you look at Arsenal with Arsene Wenger, he's kind of, moved on. There's that separation, but you always know that if there was a situation, I'm sure they would have him back for something and he would be welcomed. We almost need something a little bit like that, almost, where you're still respecting the past, but you're creating a little bit of a division. And I don't think it's going to change that much in that if there's a massive game, if Man United get to another cup final, are you telling me Fergie's not going to be there? Of course he'd still be invited to be there. If it's a big games, I'm sure you'll still see him, pottering around. So I don't...
He's always welcome. He's got the keys, isn't he? So
yeah.
So... He's always going to be...
He's welcome to join us on Inside Devils now.
Yeah. Why not?
He's not
the payroll.
Adam, do you think this will put more pressure on Ineos now in terms of Ten Hag? Because I know they're completely different facets, but some people can have the view of, well, you're getting rid of Sir Alex Ferguson before you're even getting rid of, actually, when you talk about the here and now, we're a mess on the pitch and the manager's still here.
There is a lot of pressure on Ineos. From the fan base, they'll just be going along thinking that they're just doing their job. We've had so much happen in such a short space of time with Ineos at the helm. I think we forget how bad it was before. We've been crying out for a structure to be brought into Manchester United. The only thing is, like you've said, it's the Ten Hag factor right now, which is the biggest talking point within the Manchester United fan base. It's the football on the pitch. That's all that matters. Manchester United only run well when results on the pitch are going well. There's many a journalist who said exactly the same thing. The stories will circulate. As soon as United have bad results, these stories will start piling in from everywhere. And while it's not nice and not going well on the pitch, stories like the Sir Alex Ferguson one today will get built up into something that's really not. And you just have to look at what's important. Again, I keep saying it. It's going to be pressure situation because that's everyone gone. I don't know anyone who's left at the football club. There's only one man that's left. And like you said then, the pressure from the fan base in particular now will be when them results carry on, hopefully they don't, but if them results do carry on in the negative form that they are now, then the fans are really going to well, I think you now need to start making some bigger decisions.
Yeah, I think this definitely does feed into the ruthless nature of Sir Jim Ratcliffe / Ineos. You know, when you're doing your due diligence on their way in cricket, and you read about, you know, the decisions that they're not afraid to make. Some people were sort of questioning that ruthlessness in terms of not getting rid of Erik ten Hag during this international break. And you see a decision like this, which, albeit, OK, fair enough, we can maybe agree that in the grand scheme of things, it will be OK, it's fine. But it does take a lot of cojones from Sir Jim Ratcliffe to get Sir Alex in and say, look him in the eye and say, listen, we're going to go in a different direction. We're not going to have you in this capacity anymore.
Yeah, this is a massive decision, but some of the other calls they've made do feel a little bit like fiddling while Rome burns. You know, taking away packed lunches for staff, as I've mentioned, not subsidising travel to the FA Cup final, taking away tickets in some cases for the FA Cup final.
Exactly.
It's a drop in the ocean, really, compared to what some underperforming players are earning to sit on the bench week in, week out.
Exactly.
And obviously the big decision is still to be made when it comes to Erik ten Hag. Obviously, sources at Old Trafford suggest that the board meetings that took place during the international break were pre-planned and not necessarily a reaction to what's been happening on the pitch. But they still had the conversation. They've still decided to carry on as they left off. I'm not convinced that we're going to see any real change. I'm worried about this Brentford game. We're going to preview it in depth later. I'm worried about the trip to Fenerbahce because it's almost written that Jose Mourinho puts another nail in Ten Hag's coffin. And I think sooner or later they are going to have to make that decision to change manager, and they need to get on the same page in terms of who they want, because we're reporting on talkSPORT this morning that Thomas Tuchel is now a serious contender for the England job. Well, if Ineos do want Thomas Tuchel, they might not have time to sit on their hands for much longer.
And you know, Anthony, players like him, you know, he's on over just 10 and a bit million a year, and you're getting rid of a couple of million, you know, a year for Sir Alex. Can you see why some fans will be like, what Crook is saying, there's players there who don't deserve to be on the wages that they are. There's players there who need going. If you want to cut costs, you can cut costs from there.
Yeah, of course, but also it's not like a shock for Anthony to be, you know, professional footballers are on a lot of money. You know, Anthony's not the only one. I get that people would be irritated, but let's wait and see. I'm sure we've all got our fingers crossed that Anthony's going to get sold anyway, so maybe we don't have to worry about things like that. But yeah, I could understand people's frustration, of course.
Yeah, OK, well, interesting thoughts. Let us know what you guys are thinking in the comments with this, because, of course, anything to do with Sir Alex Ferguson, stepping away from Manchester United in any capacity is always going to pull on our heartstrings, but we want to know, is it a good business decision? Does it make sense in the long term for this to happen? Or do you disagree with this? Could they have handled this in a completely separate way? Could they have maybe reduced his wages? Could they have looked at a slightly lesser role? We want to hear from you guys.